Hello everyone, Simon here. Welcome back to the architecture of Hitman World of Assassination. Today we're in Miami. Yeah, Miami, Florida, USA. What a nice sunny day to be here on the coast of Miami. So, what are we doing in this level? So we have this building here. In the game it's called the, what's it called? The Bayside Center? So if you're familiar with Miami, you might recognize some of these places, right? But I'll talk about that. Over on the other side of the road, there's a race going on. An motor race going on the streets of the city, I believe. So there's like a spectator stands there and then more buildings back there. We'll go there in the later parts of the video. First of all, let's try to figure out where we are. Let's come over here to the waterfront. Oh, look at this. Look at this. We're right on the water. Maybe this is not safe. There's no railings. Like little kids can fall in the water. What are you gonna do? So this probably is not safe, but we have... Oh, look at that. Like a big bridge going that way. We have towers back that way. And then we have another big bridge going that way. Oh, very interesting. Right. So, let's look at a map. Ah, this is the United States. Florida is down here. And then Miami is down near the southern tip of Florida. And if we zoom, downtown Miami is around about here. Zoom, zoom. Zoom and zoom. And zoom. Oh, look at that. There's like a big bridge there, a big bridge there. The Assassination Center. That looks kind of familiar, doesn't it? So if we try to get as close as possible to maybe around about here. The street view doesn't take us all the way to the water's edge, unfortunately. But we have a bridge over there. Can you see that behind those trees? And then we have another bridge over there. Oh, look at that. That looks familiar, doesn't it? Let me step back that way. Maybe get over to... Oh, here? Oh, there's a bridge there. Oh, you can't see the bridge behind those trees back there. You kind of see a little bit of it there. Oh, look at those buildings. That looks kind of familiar, doesn't it? Some buildings there, less so there. So this is basically where we are in real life, right? We are in downtown Florida. And we have this stuff. So look at this. See how there's a little bit of water there, I guess? Do boats still dock here? Maybe they don't anymore. But it looks like this should be a place where boats can dock, right? So if we get into the game and walk over to the north and just peek through the fence here, can you see that? Oh, look, there's water back there. Ah, a little rectangular bit of water there. Look at that. And then the bridge behind it. And then the bridge over there. So like that, the bridge there. Oh, look at that. So we're basically here. And the so-called Bayside Center. Wow, look at that. Yeah, look at that. And then the Assassination Center, which is this building. In fact, can we get a... Okay, like that there. Oh, look at that. It's vaguely familiar. Not the same thing, but kind of the same idea. Alright, look at that, look at that. Like a big glass thing. Look at that, big glass thing. Oh, interesting. Oh, very interesting. So the Assassination Center is a stadium, actually. The building in-game is not a stadium. It's more of an exhibition hall and office buildings. Inside the building, though, there's an aquarium. There's no aquarium in the Assassination Center in real life, but if we go north here, there's a museum. There's a Philip and Patricia Frost Science Museum. Museum of Science. There's no pictures of it here though, but there is their website. Oh, so there's the Frost Science. So they have a an aquarium. Oh, there's a big shark, look at that! There's a big shark back there! So they have sharks on display. Oh, they have an aquarium back there. And then, furthermore, if we run over this way a little bit. Excuse me while I make my way over this way. So over there we have a bit of a pier, look at that. Look at that, there's a pier there and a building there, right? You see that? So in the real Miami, if we go south across this stuff, oh look at those piers, look at that. If we like come over here, get some street view going. Oh look at that, there's like a pier. There's a boat here at the moment. I imagine the boat's not there, right? So there's a pier that goes around like that, and then there's a little building behind it. Cool, right? So oh, there it is. So clearly the people who made this level took a lot of inspirations from the real Miami, because they've like all these little pieces they put in here. There's probably other pieces too that I haven't found. But basically they've taken bits and pieces from the real Florida, real Miami, and just put it here into the game. Everything's a bit compressed in the game, like everything's closer than it is in the real world, but you know, that's how video games are, right? You can't fit the real world into the limited space of the computer. So, you know, we have the Bayside Center slash Casella Center, with an aquarium borrowed from the museum put into the building, and then to the south a little bit, this stuff has been removed. And then imagine if this continues into this, and then there's like a few piers, and there's a bit of a park over there. And that is the level. Oh, one more thing, the racetrack. So there's no real racetrack around here, but back in 2015, there was the Miami E-Prix. E-Prix? Is that how you, that's French, right? Yeah, look at that course there, right? So that course basically comes around, I believe it's like here, or maybe it's there, I'm not sure. Was it across the road or not across the road? But it comes around here, I think, and then around here, and then back up and around and around. I'm not sure how far it goes around that way. So there was a street race. Well, there was a race that they kind of converted some city streets for, right? Held in 2015 on the Biscayne Bay Street Circuit. That one, this one. This circuit was only used for one race, and it was never used again, because you're kind of having like shutting off parts of the city just to have a race. It's kind of disruptive. And since then, there have been other racetracks, like dedicated racetracks, built in other parts of Miami. So they don't race here anymore, but there was that one time when they did. And what we have in the game, we have the race going on back there, is very similar to what happened in 2015. So even the race is actually like a real thing that happened at one point. Isn't that cool? Cool, right? Anything else? No, that's it. So we can definitely locate. We can definitely locate this place in the real world. But everything's a little different. It's not quite identical. But there are enough similarities that you know what you're looking at. Right? Okay. So let's first off, let's run around the waterfront and check out this park. Look at that. Little fountains, sculptures. Oh, dolphin sculptures. Let's play in the water. Yeah. So this is fun. You spend a lot of water this way. I'm assuming this is clean water, not like seawater or something. So this is fun for kids on hot days, but you do use up a lot of water just spraying water everywhere like this. Not exactly environmentally conscious, but it's fun. I've talked about the lack of railings and how dangerous that is for kids, so you probably shouldn't do that in the real world. Here we have some curving paths, and then like hedges and walls. So this looks cool, right? And maybe if you're not responsible for designing real-world parks, this might seem like, oh, look at these geometric shapes and interesting curving paths. This is actually really bad in real life. It's really dangerous. So you see these walls, right? What would happen in a place like this is people would get mugged. Or worse. I'm not gonna tell you what worse is, but you can imagine. So you like, because you can see where people are, like you can see where those guys are, and you can see like people coming. And then you wait for somebody to walk along there, and then you duck into here, and all of a sudden, nobody can see you from that direction, and you can kind of see who's over there, and you just bop them on the head, knock them out, steal their stuff, and you just run. And because there's all these walls, there's a good chance that nobody sees you when you bop somebody on the head in this place. And then you just run, and then you like duck behind the wall, and then you run, and you duck behind a wall. And then it doesn't take you very long to get out of sight. And so then if nobody sees you, nobody knows it was you, and you just kind of duck around here. So in the real world, if you have a park with like tall walls blocking visibility, it's super dangerous. It makes this place incredibly unsafe. People are going to get mugged here, or worse. So don't do this if you're designing a real park in real life, and in fact if you go to a real park in real life and you see this, just stay the hell away. Just don't even go in. Don't even go in there. And in fact, like, if we go back to the map, right? Let's go back to the map. If you look at like a real park, this is a real park. Let me just come here. Can I like get a street view here, for example? So if you notice like a real park, you don't have walls like that. Look at that. Everything is completely open. And the trees, the bottom of the trees are cleared, right? And so you can just see through the entire space, and that's what keeps it safe, right? If you're just walking across there and somebody mugs you, everybody can see it. And that's what keeps you safe. Visibility keeps you safe, right? So a real park is not going to have walls blocking visibility. That's super dangerous. So something to keep in mind if you're designing parks or designing anything, like designing like residential suburbs or designing anything, don't put like walls everywhere blocking visibility. It's super dangerous. But in the game, they put this here because you're the bad guy. In the game, you're the assassin. You're the one bopping people on the head and stealing their things. And so for gameplay, it's great for you because you're the bad guy and no one else is the bad guy. In real life, you're not the bad guy, and so this is really bad for you. Like they put the stuff here so that you can, you know, assassinate people and hide behind the walls. Yeah. Yeah, in fact, I mean, if you play this game, just think about that. Like all those places where you successfully assassinate people and get away, those are all unsafe places in the real world. Just think about it when you play the game. Those are all incredibly unsafe places in the real world. Okay. So over here, oh, I guess we should look at the exterior of the Bayside Center a little bit. Look at that. We have this, what is this? Sheet metal? Sheet metal curvy bits on the outside. Very interesting. So Frank Gehry is famous for doing stuff like this, but I don't think he has like a copyright on it or anything. Like anybody can make curvy sheet metal shapes, right? So sheet metal, you can kind of bend it a little bit. You can make curvy shapes like that. And then the rest of it, I believe, is just concrete. The concrete bits go straight up and down. Curvy diagonal concrete is really hard because the way you make concrete is you pour it, and it's like a liquid, right? And so when you if you pour it on a diagonal formwork, it kind of leaks out. So even like pouring a vertical wall is kind of complicated because you have to make sure it's watertight, otherwise it leaks out, right? Concrete generally, like, diagonals are super hard. But the metal, the sheet metal stuff, you just have like a frame underneath and then you have the sheet metal laid on top of it. That's super easy to make these curving shapes like this. Not much to say about it, except that it looks futuristic because everything is curvy and shiny. over here we have some temporary structures, look at that. So this is not a permanent structure. You can see how it's kind of raised up on these little foundations. And it's just like plastic panels in a metal frame with like a fabric roof. So this is like a temporary pavilion. When we get inside, you'll see what it is. But it's set up for the race. So the race has set up a bunch of temporary things in addition to the permanent structures. Coming over here, staying by the waterside, we have, again, like, you have like temporary partitions, and then you have food stands. Which, if you have a big event, like a race going on, I guess the food stands are useful, like you serve the people and you make some money in the process. The thing is, these food stands are not in the race area, and there's not that many people out here, so I'm not sure about it. I don't know, maybe after the race the people will come out and grab something to eat. Maybe. Here we have a pier, not too much to say about it. It's just a structure sticking out into the water where you can board a boat. Right? Fairly straightforward. Oh, what do we have to say about that? Not much, right? Some of these buildings look a lot like the real buildings in Florida, but then some other buildings don't actually exist in real life. So it's like an interesting mishmash of real buildings and fictional buildings. Or maybe they're like real buildings from other parts of Florida just moved around, I'm not sure. Over here we have a little place for boats. It's a little too small. Given the Florida's got a great climate for boating, right? And in the real world, remember, like you have all of this. So a lot of boats, a lot of people want to go boating. Whereas here, there's only this. It's a little small, but it's okay. We're gonna let the game get away with it. What is this, by the way? I'm not too sure. Is this where you get tickets? I suppose this is where you get tickets to get on the boat. That does make a little bit of sense. Like tours? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, there you go. Let's continue running around the waterfronts. We don't need to go down there, do we? Not really. Oh, this. Usually, if you're gonna have a thing like this, the bit where you board the boat would float on the water because there's tides, right? The tide comes in and tide goes out. And so the water level changes, and you would have like a floating bit that stays at the same level as the boat, so you can get on the boat easily, usually. And that's why it's wooden. But here, it doesn't seem to be that way. It seems like this is a permanent structure. Wait, maybe not. Hold on. No, it's not permanent. It looks like it's floating. Is it floating? I can't. Can I get a better look? But this is permanent, so the stairs are permanent and the stairs don't move, which doesn't make any sense, right? So that doesn't work, I don't think. Are there... No, so there are no legs underneath there, right? So that wooden platform presumably is floating at the same level as the tide, but that doesn't work with those stairs. So it's they're kind of fudging it a little bit. That's not really how that works, but it's kind of close, I guess. Over on this corner, we have a bit of a memorial. Not sure what that's about. I don't think we have a memorial like this in the real Bayside area in Florida. What's it called? There's a Bayfront Park. So here there's a Bayfront Park. Bayfront Park. That's a amphitheater, I believe. There might be memorials around here, but I haven't looked at it in detail. So if we come back to here, this is the edge of the park. So you see this bridge? This is a temporary bridge. So as I said earlier, they've set up a bunch of temporary structures to support the race. And this bridge is one of those structures, right, that allows you to get across the road. Coming back here, they've walled off that part of the park because they've built the podium back there. Can you see it? The podium where they present the prizes for whoever wins the race is back there. But it's walled off. We will get into the podium a little bit later on. There's security here. I can just walk through, I think. Yeah, I can.
I need to talk to the boss man about these uniforms again. This polyester's
But I'm not gonna look at it just yet. Let's get back and get into the front entrance of the Bayside Center. So this is the park and the waterfront area. Oh, there's like more parking. You notice there's like staircases down into an underground area too. And in fact, here's another. Wait, not here. Further ahead, another parking sign. Right, so there's like staircases down. There's underground parking underneath here. Again, we'll get to that a little bit later. Alright, back to the front entrance of the Bayside Center. So Kronstadt is a fictional company in the game, right? And it looks like Kronstadt has permanently set themselves up in the Bayside Center. I'm not sure what to make of that, because the game calls it the Bayside Center. Like if you look at the map. Miami Bayside Center Expo, right? Bayside Center entrance. So they call it the Bayside Center. But here it's the Kronstadt building. I think maybe they had a bit of a conflict while they were designing the thing and they just didn't really completely resolve it. Bayside Center implies that there's like a temporary Kronstadt exhibit. But this doesn't look that temporary, or maybe it is. Maybe it is temporary, who knows, right? Like the banners could be temporary, but if we go inside, I guess like the flooring and the carpets, those can be temporary. But then they have their logo, the Big K label, Big K logo stuck to the wall, and that doesn't look temporary. I can't really tell actually, like whether the Kronstadt thing is a temporary exhibition or a permanent exhibition inside the Bayside Center. Looking up, look at that. Hold on, let me just step back. Oh, look at those lights. Look at those wriggly lines of lights. And look at those lights up there, and then look at those lights over there, and look at those shiny surfaces. So Kronstadt is a high-tech engineering company, right? And so all the decorative elements they suggest, like all the neon lights, is very high-tech, very futuristic, and like all the angles and curves and the movement and speed and dynamism, right? So that's the kind of feel they're going for. Everything's moving and bright. Alright, very high tech. On this side of the building we have a coat check, and then back here we have toilets. I mean, not too much to say about toilets, right? Except to say that they do have toilets. If they didn't have them, I'd complain, so they have them. And that's good. Like these things, like when they put them in, and you're like, oh, you don't really need to put those in. But then if you don't put them in, you're like, hey, where are the toilets? So I guess they have to put them in. Every building needs like these kind of like boring bits that need to be there, right? Okay, back here we have the aquarium, as I said earlier. The aquarium has nothing to do with Kronstadt, not really. This is just an aquarium. There's no technology here. If we look at this poster here, look at that. Sharks are people too, you see that? And then the shark is a sad face. Very funny. So there's like a shark exhibit, and there's like fish and things. Very cool. But it doesn't really have anything to do with Kronstadt. As I said before, I think this is like a piece of the Frost Science Museum, kind of just moved over here, maybe because some of the map designers like sharks or something. I don't know. Uh, so some of these inconsistencies, like you can imagine how it happened. Maybe when they first made the map, they started making the map and they thought, okay, we're gonna make the Bayside Center and we like the aquarium, we put the aquarium in. And then as they're making the stuff, the game design team or the story team say, no, we need a Kronstadt building because the guy we're murdering is the Kronstadt CEO. And so then like halfway through making the aquarium or something, they have to kind of squeeze the Kronstadt display into the same building. So it's the sort of thing that happens in like whenever you have a creative project and there's a lot of people working on it, sometimes like things don't line up. But then now that you've put the aquarium in, like everybody looks at it and is like, oh, that's cool. I like the aquarium. So everybody likes it. But then if you really think about it, it doesn't quite fit the other part of the narrative. Like the two parts don't fit together, but they're both cool, and so you want to put them both in, but they don't actually fit together. Sometimes that happens. That might be what happened here. But this aquarium, it doesn't do anything in the game, basically. Like it's completely empty, it's shut down because the main focus is the race and Kronstadt, and so this is not part of the story at all. It's just here. But it's cool. And somebody went to the trouble of making these posters about how sharks are people too. So on the other side, right, so the one half is the aquarium, which doesn't fit the other side. The other half, we have the Kronstadt part of the exhibition. And this is all high-tech stuff. Hey, look at these lights. Look how shiny the floor is. Look how shiny the floor is. Isn't that crazy? It's all just neon lights and shiny surfaces. So Kronstadt does robotics.
Hello,
Oh, look at that.
security person. I assure you everything is fine down here.
Ah, the robot's talking to me. That's kind of scary. So the robot's looking at me, and the picture behind shows what the robot is seeing. Isn't that crazy? Although it's looking at me and not at the camera guy. Oh, there he is, the camera guy. And then we have the medical machines. Remember the Hokkaido map? Apparently the AI was made by Kronstadt as well. And then we have a few other things, and the race car. The race car is the main attraction because of the race going on next door, right? So this is the Kronstadt display. And to be honest, it's kind of boring. It's just like a room with stuff in it. I mean, the fancy lights are cool. I like the fancy lights. But it's just a room with objects on either side and then a car at the end. Like, it's not very interesting. Not as interesting as the shark display. And you can tell they spend more time on the aquarium than they spent here. Right? So this is the ground floor of the Bayside Center. You have two public exhibition spaces. Over here we have a staircase.
Never enough security.
So this is the private area. So we come up here and it becomes Kronstadt offices. Kronstadt offices. So these are, as far as I can tell, permanent offices for the Kronstadt company. I mean, it might not be. I guess they could be temporary. I guess Kronstadt could just be renting the floor space temporarily. It doesn't seem to make sense though. Because a lot of these offices seem to be kind of permanent, right? Kronstadt private presentation. Well, maybe it is temporary. So reception, this could be like Bayside Center. I'm trying to figure this out, and I'm not entirely sure. If we come in here, okay, let's see these offices, right? Is this just Bayside Expo Center offices, or is this Kronstadt offices? A lot of the equipment is actually packed away. They haven't even unpacked the computers. Not sure what to make of that, to be honest. Here we have a conference room. I guess none of the furnishings are overtly Kronstadt. They do have a bit of catering, I guess.
Types of workers with robots, but this seems
Maybe
like
the
he's
Kronstadt
effectively
stuff
trying
is
to replace
temporary.
everything.
That's what I love the most. How's this for a pitch?
We have a balcony and a nice sitting area with a great view. I mean, these are offices, right? Are you paying your employees to just sit around and enjoy the view? Aren't you paying your employees to work? Why do you have this in your building?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Welcome to Creepy Town.
Why do you have
Population
relaxation
Kronstadt.
areas in
Nobody's
your
gonna buy
office
into
building?
that.
Well, we don't specifically state that we want to.
So over here we have the robots, and they are showing off.
Keep that gun holstered, son.
So this is a military robot. He's got a gun, look at that. The robot's holding a gun. And they're showing off Kronstadt technology, right? Let me see. You know what? Now that I look at it, the Kronstadt displays are potentially all temporary. This would be kind of expensive.
I'm going ahead with the visual update.
But these are panels. You can remove the panels, I guess, but it's kind of expensive to print the entire panels.
We're good with the
So
targeting
these
data.
are just
You are cleared
stands.
to engage, Palace. Give 'em hell.
Oh wait, no. They've got the K printed on the door.
Well done, Palace. All green.
So that would be permanent. No, this is a permanent Kronstadt building because they have that printed on the glass. You can't just remove that from the glass easily. Okay, so it is a permanent Kronstadt building. The Bayside Center is also the Kronstadt headquarters, I guess. It still doesn't really make much sense to me, but let's just roll with it.
All right.
And then the next room, we have some robots. And this is it, by the way. See, this is the other thing about this. So we have like server rooms, we have computers, okay, that's fine. But if you're developing advanced robotics, you need a lot more tools than this. You need machine tools to make the robot parts. And you need like a much better equipped workshop than this. Like there's no tools. There's no like drills and lathes and saws and anything. 3D printers, welding equipment. Like there's none of that. So how do you like make robot parts with no tools? So it's like that doesn't make any sense. So that's why I keep struggling with this. Is this a temporary exhibition of Kronstadt stuff? Or is this a permanent Kronstadt building? Because they can't be building the robots here because they don't have enough tools to build entire robots from scratch. So maybe they're moving the robot parts here from a different place where they're actually building them and they're just kind of showing them off here. I don't know. I don't know what to make of this, actually. And then we come over here, and this is an office, but nothing's unpacked. Like, all of this is packed up. If everything's like packed, you would imagine maybe this is like a temporary thing. They're not really here to stay, so they're like keeping everything packed up if they don't need to open it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of this. Not really. And for like a big high-tech company, this can't be enough to be the headquarters, actually. As I said headquarters before, it wouldn't be a headquarters. It would be like a showroom. A Kronstadt showroom that is not their headquarters would make sense. And it would be like a permanent showroom for the Kronstadt company. Maybe. Maybe. Right. We continue to have shiny surfaces and neon lights. As we come upstairs again though, so now we get into the executive area. And all of a sudden things are less shiny and the lights are less less angular and less curvy. So suddenly everything's a lot more sensible, look at that. Once you get out of the display areas and into the executive areas, things are a lot more sensible. We have a bit of a storage room, and in here there's a roof area. There's not much to show here, except we can see the racetrack. Look at that. So the racetrack goes down there, and then we have stands there. So the race part of the map is on the other side, right? You can see the race cars going past. Okay, let's go back in. Not too much to say about this. On this end it says server room, but actually it's a security building. A security room, I mean. Yeah, all of the security guards have been relieved for the moment. So there's like maps and security camera footage. Not sure why they put that in the server room. We have more toilets. Not much to say about the toilets. And then we step into this area and we have a roof garden. Strange? I mean, not that strange. I mean, having a roof garden is quite nice actually. But it's a sharp contrast to all the high-tech stuff below. Like downstairs everything's neon lights and plastic and metal and glass and shiny. And you get up here and it's just kind of trees swaying in the wind. Everything's natural. So like the public image of Kronstadt and what actually happens in the executive, like on the top level of the offices, is completely different. Yeah. Interesting. It's not quite the same as the public image. And look at this timber flooring as well. Back here we do have a helipad. I guess the CEO doesn't drive like you peasants. He flies to work. You can see the roof. Not too much to say about the roof. There are solar panels and air conditioning equipment. Or HVAC. What's it called? Heating, ventilation, something. Over here, it says Office 2D, but if you go in here, it's actually a bit of a gym room with lockers even. Not too sure who exercises here though. There's 2 treadmills, so at least 2 people exercise here. 2 treadmills, 2 stationary bikes, and some weights. 2 sets of weights. Maybe there's 2 people. So in the game, we know there's Kronstadt himself, the CEO, and then he has an assistant. Oh, look, a nice sitting area. I mean, there's all these guards and scientists as well, but I don't think they get to use the gym. I don't know. I don't think so. We have some maintenance areas back here. Nothing too much to say about this. So here, this is the assistant's office. It's rather large. A big ass room with his own toilet. Right, very nice. And coming down here, we have sort of like a lounge area with a big screen TV. And then an outdoor lounge area. Again, like, do these guys do any work? Or do they just lounge around all day? Why are there so many lounge areas? The view is great though. But aren't you supposed to be working? There is more computers back here. I'm not gonna go in this door, let me go around the other door. So on this corner of the building, we have
Kronstadt guys. They get good wage, good uniforms.
Robert
and
Knox.
gentle.
Here's his name. R. Knox is the person who owns Kronstadt. So his desk is right here. He's got a bit of a sitting area there. But the bigger half of his office is dedicated to this data screen where he monitors the race car. Right? I'm not sure he ever works in his office, because look at that, the light's not even on. But this is important. So this is the CEO's office, and that's the top floor. Alright, let's keep going. So this is the whole Kronstadt building, or the whole Bayside Center. It's a little odd. Like, why the aquarium clearly doesn't fit. Secondly, is this his main office, or is this like a or does he only set up his work here when there's a race going on? And is his main headquarters, is the Kronstadt main headquarters somewhere else, and they're just here to monitor the race? Probably they're just here to monitor the race. But then there seems to be permanent Kronstadt branding on the building, so I guess they own the building. I don't know what to make. I honestly don't know what to make of this. I guess it's a permanent Kronstadt building that's partially the Bayside Center, and they only actually use the space when there's a race on. I guess, I don't know, something like that, something close enough. Where are we going next? Oh, let's go around the back. So the building does have a back areas. If we just like sneak back here, for example. Oh, maintenance. So behind here we have storage and things. Elevator. There is one elevator shaft. The elevator doesn't work in the game, but this is convincing enough, I guess. So here we're back behind the displays. Look at that. The back of these panels. So the front of the displays is over here, right? Sticking back here. Right, so the fact that these are temporary partitions suggests to me that the Kronstadt display is a temporary display. Because these are temporary partitions set up into the space. So it's not a permanent Kronstadt display. Okay. I'm still trying to answer this question. But there is permanent Kronstadt branding on the building. So, like, why is this not permanent, but some of the other stuff permanent? I can't answer it. I haven't figured it out. Yeah, no, this suggests that the Kronstadt occupation of the building is temporary, is what it suggests. If we come through here, this is the aquarium again. Just in case you are wondering where we are, there's the shark. And then back over here we have trucks, a loading area. I think the loading area might be too small too, and the stairs probably should be ramps. Because if this is an exhibition space, you need to move fairly big things in here. Like that car. How do you get that car in here? Remember this car? How do you get this car in here? Do you drive it in through the front door? It doesn't fit through the front doors because the glass doors aren't that wide. Right? You're gonna drive them in through the front door. So this door is not wide enough for the car, I don't think. And anyway, you're not gonna drive them up the staircase. What are you gonna do? Drive them up here? That sounds crazy, right? So the sensible thing is you would have brought the car in from the back. That's a sensible thing. But from the back, you can't fit the car in here either. These are the sorts of things you think about when you look too closely at video game architecture. You have like a door here, and you have a door here, and there's no way to fit the car in here, and there's no way to get the car up the staircase. So there's no actual way to get the car into the display area from anywhere. From the front door, from the back door, nowhere. Things you think about when you look carefully at architecture. So basically the loading area, this should be bigger, and there should be ramps, and there should be bigger doors going into the exhibition areas. That's all, right? But they didn't do that, and it's really strange because they didn't. Right, so back out this way. So this is where the Bayside Center ends, right? And this is where the park begins, except as we said before, part of the park has been taken over by this temporary structure, which is the podium to where the award ceremony takes place for whoever wins the race. So here we have a temporary structure. We have like a fabric roof. We have plastic panels for walls, and then we have interior partitions, which don't go to the ceiling because everything's temporary, right? So we have, what is this? Files? That's curious. Why would you have paperwork in this building? Files here, and then we have out here we have fireworks. So there's like explosives. Check it out. There's fireworks for the podium. Let's not worry about that too much. On this side, you get to watch the race from here. There's a makeup space. So this is where this is the media space, I believe. We don't have catering here. In fact, let me come over here. So back here we have catering. We have food and drinks. And the catering goes out here, I guess.
We got this shit under control, man.
Over here we have camera and then interview area, so you can imagine after the race you get interviewed. How do you feel about how you did, right? And if we come over here, the drivers and or the winners would come through here and into there, and then the winners will go to the podium. So I think this is the media area where they get interviewed. And maybe some VIPs are here as well, I guess. Up here is definitely the podium, if we can get through. Oh, look at this. So there's the trophy, there's the fireworks things, and there's the podium, big shiny metal bits. Right, so the racetrack, and then we have the spectator stands over there, like that. Very cool. We will get to the spectator stands soon. Okay, back in here and out the other side. Let's go down to the basement. So, we said earlier there's a car park in the basement. Baytown Underpass, Park Entrance, Event Stands, Information Center, Flamingo Hotel, Miami International Circuit Garages. Baytown, welcome, have a great day. Nice. We're not gonna go over there yet. This way, we have a bit of a service hallway. Back here, actually, is this service? It did say no entry, right? We have a bit of storage room over here, and then we have toilets here. Not too sure why the toilets are in this space.
The extent of your injuries first.
Oh, my head.
Because it's like behind the big corridor. And then through here we have car parking. So the car park is probably too small. Like a real life car park would be significantly bigger than this. Significantly bigger than this.
You know, it's going to sound
Parking security,
involved with this climate change activist.
right? And more car park. So what I think they did is, like, what they should do is the car parking should be much bigger. But they didn't want to make a huge space, just a huge empty space down here for gameplay reasons, because like, what are you going to do with a lot of car park? Nothing happens down here. So to make sure the place is focused for gameplay reasons, they reduced the size of the car parks to something way too small. And they added this to join up these two spaces, because Like, why would the toilet be here? Why wouldn't the toilet be closer to the car park, for example? So they had to join this up, but they didn't want to have a giant car park space, which would make sense in real life, but not in the game. So this is what they did. It's like an awkward compromise between gameplay and believability, right? Okay, and that's the car park. And so the car park, basically there's tunnels joining the different parts of the map, which, you know, for gameplay reasons, you can get from one area to the other fairly easily down here. Going back up. And we are back where we started. So this is the Bayside Center, right? And this is the parking for the Bayside Center. Which, as we said, is way too small for a center that big. Okay, so that's this half of the map. Let's go down through the underpass and go to the race part. The racetrack part of the map on the other side. Oh, look at these. The murals on the walls here. Look at that. Oh, flamingos. Very cool, right? We have a guy playing steel drums. I believe those are steel drums. What is he playing anyway? Okay, through the underpass, and we are here. Global Innovation Race, yeah! So this is the Raceway? Miami International something something. So this is oh, Miami International Street Circuit is what they call the racetrack. They call it a street circuit. I assume that means that on normal days it's a city street, and then on race days they cut the streets off from traffic and then use it for the race. And in fact, as I said right at the start, the 2015 Miami E-Prix is what happened. Is they had city streets that they closed off from traffic and used it as a racetrack. So I guess in the game what they did is they made this permanent. So whereas in real life it only happened for one race, here they made it a permanent fixture in the city. And that explains, actually, let me just kind of not get ahead of myself. So here we have event information and security. We have a bit of a security building here. Over here we have entrance. You'll notice the entrance is temporary, look at that. It's fabric stretched across a metal frame. So this gate is temporary? Right, the gate is temporary, and then we have like a temporary product exhibition area right inside the entrance with a VIP area. We'll go there later. Right, so these are just temporary pavilions pitched in this space. But then behind it we have this structure. This is the spectator stands, and this, as far as I can tell, is permanent. This is concrete? Yeah, this is definitely permanent. Concrete cast. It's firmly attached to the ground. So we have permanent spectator stands. The security building is also permanent, it's concrete. And then there's all this other temporary stuff that's been kind of built into it as for the event. So there's a mixture of temporary buildings and permanent buildings in this space, trying to keep track of all the bits, right? Let's go check out the spectator stands. We do have toilets. Ah, that's gross. Somebody put toilet paper everywhere. Ah, they didn't flush the toilet. Gross. Okay, let's not look at that. So we have this place. Ah, spectator stand. Very nice. And we are right next to the racetrack. I wonder if this is safe. Like if a crash happens, isn't this unsafe? Shouldn't we have like glass? Alright, so we have spectator stands, entrances at the front and the back. Like you can enter from the back, and you can enter from the front. I guess you have premium seating up here. Nobody's sitting here though. Oh, can I sit here? No, I can't sit here. Premium seating? And then this is the same thing, right? So there's one set of seating here, and then we get through here. In the middle we have, oh, food, look at that. Get some burgers or something. Get some drinks. And then on the other side we have more seating. Same thing as the other side, very good. And then in the middle, in between the two parts of the seating, if we come in here, we have a control room for the race. So these guys are making sure things are running alright at the race. Very cool. So there's the podium there, and there's the Bayside Center there, right? Just to make sure we understand where we are. And the waterfront is behind there. And then upstairs, above the audience, I guess there's more VIP seating up here, but there's no one up here at the moment, except for the press. So we have reporters and cameras. I wonder if they're not too far back, though. Huh. Wouldn't, like in a real race, wouldn't the press be like closer to the action so they can get better shots with the cameras? And then the audience would be further back? Wouldn't that be more sensible? I don't know, I don't design these things. Alright, coming down. Where am I going actually? Let me go back down. The other way. I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to
You're a patriot, sir.
show everything. Oh, so these are concrete walls, right? And these are concrete walls. Although the roof doesn't touch the wall, interesting. The roof is a oh, there it is. So it sits on top of that, but it's a light steel structure. Oh, it's being held up by the outside walls, but not the middle bit. Okay, I see how that works. So coming back down here, we have, behind the spectator stands, food. Oh, hot dogs, sweet, and fries. So we have some food there. Oh, this wall is temporary, right? So keep track of this. So this is all temporary. The food stand is temporary. Through here, burgers, very nice. Right, more food stands. And then over here we have a bit of a first aid area, just in case anybody gets too excited. And we have temporary toilets. So this is kind of interesting, because there's permanent toilets in the stands. So we have these. That's permanent. We also have permanent toilets downstairs in the car park area. And then back here there are additionally temporary toilets. So what does that mean? What that means is that they have a certain capacity for the for the whole facility, for the whole race, like, so that they have like. So when you design a structure, you need to know how many people it's supposed to serve, and then you need to have enough toilets to serve those people, right? You know, if you're designing a thing. So they have like the stands, and then the stands that have a certain number of seats, and then for that number of seats you have that number of toilets. Cool. But the race that's currently going on, they expect more people than that. So in addition to the people who are in the stands watching the race, they expect this event to draw even more people than that. And so they need extra toilets because there's going to be more people than what usually comes, than the number that usually comes to watch races. Does that make sense? So yeah, however many people you expect to have, you need toilets. So the permanent capacity of this structure is being exceeded by this event, and in fact, if you look at these temporary structures, so this medical area is temporary. You see this? This is a kind of like a shipping container with a little medical facility inside. So this is like a temporary medical facility that they've added here. And in fact, let's go into the VIP area, right? So the spectator stands are definitely permanent. And then this stuff, this whole gate is temporary, right? It's just a tent. And then through here, look at these. We have these buildings. So mostly Sierra Knox, these are the drivers, right? So here, each team has a building. And inside each team's building, they have like a VIP party going on. But look at this flooring here. Look at this. So they have timber flooring. And they've put it on top of the ground. This might just be a car park. I don't know what this is. You see that arrow there? The arrow points that way. So this used to be like a road. Arrow pointing this way, arrow pointing that way. So usually cars go through here. But they've closed this off to traffic, and they've built these temporary structures for each team, right? And if you look at this, look at that. That looks like metal or plastic. It's shiny. And it's about that thick. Look at the thickness of it. It's about as thick as my head, right? And what it looks like to me is possibly polystyrene sandwiched in steel. Is possibly what this is. So this sort of construction, the polystyrene provides some structural strength and also insulation. And then the steel panels provide insulation. Like steel panels by themselves, they're kind of thin and floppy. And then the polystyrene by itself doesn't have a lot of strength. But when you put the two together, you have the polystyrene block supporting the steel panel, so the steel panel doesn't flop around, doesn't bend, because it's glued to the polystyrene. And the polystyrene is protected by the steel, so it doesn't get crushed. So like the polystyrene stops the metal from bending, and the metal stops the polystyrene from crushing. And so together, the two elements are a lot stronger together. It's building materials, right? So building material science, so it's either polystyrene or something else inside. It could be like, I don't know, a steel frame or something. It's most likely polystyrene. But the way you kind of use those two materials together makes them stronger than if you use them separately. And it's also light because it's mostly polystyrene, so it's also very light. So you have these kind of light but strong wall panels that you can kind of assemble into a temporary building, and because it's polystyrene, it's got great insulation, so it doesn't feel like it's not just a tent. Like if it's just a tent, then the breeze can just kind of blow through the fabric. But because it's kind of steel and polystyrene, it feels more solid and more indoors than otherwise. So it's a great material, except that it's not very environmentally friendly. So aside from the fact that it's polystyrene and it's hard to recycle, aside from that, it's a great building material, especially for temporary structures like this, because it's very light and you can move it around very easily. So I think that's what this stuff is. It looks like it to me. Here we have a downstairs, and then we can go upstairs. The stairs are pretty light too, look at that. It's just like an open frame. And then we have upstairs, same materials. This seems ambitious. The size of this, like if there was a column in the middle there, I'd be more confident about this. I'm not sure. Oh, is that a beam? Oh no, is that a steel beam? Maybe there's a steel beam up there holding out that portal. I guess that works. If it was just the polystyrene stretching across there, I'd say it was not strong enough. But if there's a steel beam out there sitting on top of the walls to hold up the roof. That would be plausible. Oh, these columns don't make any sense, by the way. I don't know why they put these columns here, because if we go back downstairs, the columns don't actually have anything holding them up. Look at that. So you see that there, that column?
Yeah.
That doesn't line up. That's there, and the one down below is just...
Never have too much security, am I right?
It's not in the same place. They have a column here. Is that a column? Okay, that's a column. But upstairs, the column is just to the side here. And then there's a second column upstairs, and there's no column down here. The way columns work, they really need to like go all the way to the ground. If you just have like a floor and a column here, the column's not sitting on anything. And it just, it'll bend the floor and anyway. Ideally, columns should go straight through the floors to the ground. They don't have to, but if they don't, then there's really not much point to having them. Really. There's a toilet there. Back here we have a bit of a storage area for food. And then out here, there's not much of anything. What is that? Oh, this used to be a car park. Look at that. There's car parking lines on the ground. Right. So this used to be a car park. And they've set up a bunch of temporary structures in the car park to serve this particular race. Oh, where did the foundations end? That's kind of interesting. So there's floor panels there, and then there's timber panels there, and it's a bit of a ramp, so it's a pretty thin floor panel just sitting on the ground. And that's the foundations. Right, so that's the Kronstadt paddock. They call them paddocks in the game. And then here, I guess same materials, slightly different layouts. But these panels, they're quite flexible. You can arrange them in a lot of different ways. So here we have the Kowloon paddock. Again, note the columns. So the columns hold up the floor, and then when you go upstairs, the columns don't line up. There's a column there and a column there downstairs, and then that column doesn't line up with any of those. There's a column back there, but there's no column back here if we go into this room. There's no column back here. I don't know who designed this. I don't know why they did this. It's... I mean, maybe they just had an intern doing this, and they didn't really have anyone who really thinks about architecture. It's not that hard to make the columns line up, right? It's not hard, you just have to do it. But the person who designed the spaces just didn't do it, and so the structure makes no sense because the columns don't line up. I think they had an intern working on this who didn't actually study architecture. That's okay, we'll give them a pass. It's not a big deal. But next time you guys, just make the columns line up. It's not that hard. Alright, and then there's another one here, the swag. We have a swag paddock. Same thing, right? Timber panels on the ground. Timber flooring, I mean. This one has carpet? Is that carpet? I guess it is carpet. Oh, this one's slightly different. So here we have a big glass window on the ground level, and the glass is not structural. The glass is not very good structure. What they have here instead is they have a big column in the middle. So the column and then to the walls, and that's what's holding up the floor. I guess that part's cantilevered a little bit. So the big central column, can you see this? This thing, this big square thing. That, I believe, is what's supposed to be holding up the floor above. And then if we go upstairs... So this column is decorative because it doesn't line up with anything. Not really. Right. That column lines up with one of the corners of the big column down below, and this is supposed to hold up the roof. I feel like there should just be another column here. If there was another column here, everything would make perfect sense. But the fact that the column is there instead of there, it doesn't make any sense. Aside from that, everything else is fine. Everything else is structurally plausible. There's some strangeness going on here. I don't know what's going on. Alright, so this is the swag building. Very cool, very interesting. And all of this is temporary. And then there's another building there. So the garages are back there, and that's a permanent building. Not gonna go in there yet because... Oh, there's a lot of trucks in here too, right? So they park the trucks in here, and then they pull the buildings out of the trucks and assemble them, I guess. Oh, there's no cranes. Huh. So okay, so the panels are light. They're not that light. To assemble these things, they're gonna need a crane. And we don't see a crane, which is interesting. If you have like a crane somewhere, that would make a lot of sense. So this building, if you remember, let me just get back out here. There was the permanent security building, remember this? This is the main entrance. So this is the security building. What did they call it? They called it like information and security. They called it Event Information and Security, right? So this is a permanent building. Welcome to Miami Bayside Information Center. Is this an information center? Huh. I think this is supposed to be part of the race facilities. They do have like a changing room, I guess, for the guards. And then I guess this is where they monitor what's going on. And then curiously, they have an interrogation room here. Is this meant to be an office? It could just be an office. Except if you come back here, there's like a two-way mirror. So it's like an interrogation room. Curious. Alright, so that's the security building, and then back around here we have some back areas, trucks, unused scaffolding. Right. So all of this. So coming back this way, looking at the garages now. So remember, everything in between here, this is supposed to be a car park. So all of this is temporary. And then on that side there's the spectator stands. And then on this side there's the garages on the ground level. And then upstairs there's like the executive and the VIP areas of the Raceway. We can't. Is anyone gonna yell at me if I come in here? Oh no, cool. So down here we have like all the garages back here. Let me just walk down to the other end and look at the outside of this. So this is concrete, so this is permanent, and then they set up some temporary barriers here. Not sure what's going on, but like there's not very much security. I mean, it says no entry, but it's not gonna really stop anyone, is it? So this seems a little lax, the security, but like, you know, you see a race car here, a garage back there. Miami Driver's Lounge. So this is the main entrance into the Driver's Lounge. They call it the Driver's Lounge, but I think there's like a lot of VIPs partying up there as well, so it's not just the drivers. Another garage there, another garage here. And then through here, behind these temporary walls, if I can get back there, we have another garage. So this is the Kronstadt garage. See, this makes more sense. It's walled off, so people can't just walk in. So this is the level of security I would expect in a place like this. Like, this makes a lot more sense. The other stuff is way too open, right? But here we have this walled off, and then we have the Kronstadt cars and the engineers. And through here we have the garages, right, working on their machines. And then out there is the racetrack. So this is the pit stop. And the cars will come in and get whatever they need. Tire change, fuel,
Good to see plenty of
etc.
security here.
And then if we come back through this way. So Kronstadt garage is extra large. Right, this is like the pit crew. And then we can just walk through the whole building. Oh, let's go downstairs here. Downstairs we have a bit of a staff toilet, and we actually have lockers, changing area, and showers. And this makes a lot of sense because we have mechanics upstairs working on cars, and mechanic work is dirty work, right? You get grease, you get oil, you get all sorts of things. So you want to clean up sometimes. So it makes a lot of sense that there's a shower area under the garages. Here we have the Kowloon garages, pretty much the same thing except with different colors. Right, same thing, different colors. And as we went through the whole building, it'll be just the same thing over and over again. More garages in different colors, right? So every team has their garage. And they should have their pit crew, but there's nobody here for some reason. Right? Right, same thing. And same thing. And then we go back out here. Alright, let's not go that way, let's go this way. So that's the ground floor of the garage building. Nothing too much to talk about. Fairly functional and nothing surprising. If we go upstairs though, we have this stuff. So this is the the main building of the Miami International Street Circuit, I guess. What does that say? Maxwell Rutter? So this is the owner, or at least the CEO of the Raceway. His office is here. Interesting, with a private toilet. Oh, is this also showers? Why is there showers here? It's the CEO, he doesn't do any dirty work. And then here we have public toilets, and it's quite large that they expect a lot of people. We have the executive lounge is this room. They call it the executive lounge, but I think at the moment it's being used as the driver lounge. I'm not sure, but it does have a nice view of the race though, if anybody wants to watch the race from the executive lounge. If we come through here...
Well, hey, mister. How's it going?
So this is the stairwell, but the party has overflowed into the stairwell because there's a lot of people up here. And then here, this is the driver's lounge, or they call it the driver's lounge. But there's a really big party going on. These are not drivers, right? Most of these people are not drivers. So there's a VIP party going on, and I don't know if this bar is permanent or not. Can you tell? This bar may or may not be permanent. It could be temporary. Although those shelves look permanent. Or do they? Maybe it is temporary. So either way, this would be the driver's lounge, but I think they've turned this into a party, and then the executive lounge is now the driver's lounge. It's kind of to move things around a little bit.
Security is tight today, huh?
Back this way,
French guy, huh? Number 2.
we do have a kitchen. So they do in-house catering. It's a large kitchen. It's a very large kitchen.
Tell you what I'm gonna do though.
They can cook a lot of food here. I have some doubts about this because look, okay, so here's the thing. You have a racetrack, okay, but the racetrack, there's city streets, so it's a temporary racetrack. You have permanent buildings, but the racetrack itself is temporary. You only close off the streets to turn it into a racetrack when you have an event, alright? Okay, cool. A kitchen like this serves a lot of people, okay, cool. But if you're not having races all the time, then having a kitchen this big, permanently in place, seems like a waste of money. The thing about kitchens is a lot of equipment that needs maintenance. Like, all of this is relatively high maintenance, right? If you don't maintain them properly, bad things happen. Right? There's fire, there's water, there's gas. So if this stuff is not maintained properly, bad things happen. And so a kitchen is a high maintenance part of the building. And if you're not gonna have a race, if you're not gonna have races very often, you could just get outside catering, or you can just, like, you know, hire outside caterers and have them bring food in. So you would only have an in-house kitchen if you have events all the time, like a lot of events all the time, and then you use the kitchen all the time, and then it makes sense to have an in-house kitchen. But if you're gonna have events here all the time, then how are you gonna close the streets off all the time for races all the time? Do you have races once a year, or do you have races a few times a year, or do you have races every weekend? So some of this doesn't really make sense. I'm not sure if the kitchen this big makes sense. Like if this was a permanent raceway, and you have maybe a race every fortnight, okay, it would make sense to have a permanent kitchen, I think. So I'm not sure about this. Anyway, not a big deal, right? We also have a pantry, right? Because we have a big kitchen and a lot of food. Alright, going back this way. And remember, like, this big VIP stuff, this is temporary. Usually it's a car park. Right? Usually there's not that many people here. So no, I don't think the big kitchen makes sense. I really don't. Alright, we have more toilets on this side. Although this is closed off, this is security area, so the public aren't supposed to get past here. Aren't there too many toilets? How many people usually use this space? Here we have the media suite. Alright, we have, usually we have reporters watching the race and doing their work. And then next door we have more servers. Does a racetrack need this many computers? Not sure. It might just be networking equipment though. It could be just like networking for the media. So we have a security room here. Oh, that guy just walked into the wall. Oh, he just came back. He's glitching out. Alright, that guy's glitching out. A security room. This is also a little strange because the security room is watching the race instead of watching the crowds. Security should watch the crowds. Oh, look at that. On the other side of the racetrack, there's more garages. And a copy and paste of this building on the other side. Look at this. So this building looks like this on this side, you see that? And then they copy and pasted it onto the other side as well, look at that. Okay. Not sure if it makes sense, but I guess it's easy to copy and paste. Does it make sense to have another building there? Like the same building? Alright, so this is the main building of the racetrack. If we come back here, so this, see this pink flamingo pink carpet? So this goes through the underpass and then leads back to the podium. So the winner we'll walk down here, through there, and then up to the podium. Right, I don't need to go through there again. Back here, we have a first aid area. So now we're back into the temporary structures, right? You see this? These are basically containers that contain a modular clinic of some sort, right? Come in here. Oh, look at that.
Attention Sierra Knox. Your vitamin and rehydration session has been delayed. More information will follow.
Right, so this is a temporary medical clinic coming through here. And then this is where you get medical care.
Go.
This seems a little too empty.
Surely you must be able to squeeze out a
And
few
there's
drops
no
of
bed.
crap.
There's no
Been
hospital
down
bed.
around a gallon of water by now. I'm doing the best I can over here, Doc. Come on, Jerry.
Oh, look at that. That's interesting. The electrical stuff. There's like a post for electrical stuff. You see that in temporary buildings a lot. Because you can't, should I explain this? When you have like a prefab buildings, and you need to like have wires and cables coming in, you will like have the whole duct, the whole cable duct, and you just have it in one corner of the block, so you don't have to run wires through everything.
Mr.
Anyway,
Durant,
that's just
I
what that is.
appreciate that you have a shy bladder and all,
It's
but
cool that
really,
they-
we need to move this along. If you cannot
You know, it's good that
deliver a
they
sample, I have no
paid
choice
attention to the
but to
detail
fail
though.
your test.
Look, if you keep pressuring me, it'll
I
never
appreciate
happen,
the
alright?
attention to detail. And then coming out the back. Alright, so this block, the medical block, is basically a temporary structure. Oh, there's like ambulances. I guess you need them ready in case there's a crash or something, but it's kind of a morbid. And then, finally, we have the Flamingo Hotel. This is interesting. So, I guess we are past the... So, we have another road. This is a road. And we have car parking. So, the race has appropriated this road as well. But imagine if the race was not happening. The race buildings would end there, see that wall there. This would be a street. And then this would be the neighboring building on the other side of the street, right? The Flamingo Hotel historically was a real building, but it wasn't like this, and it wasn't in this place. Let's go back to the browser. So the Flamingo Hotel used to be in Miami Beach, so like across the water. Hold on, Google Maps. So zoom out a little bit. So it used to be over here. Hold on, let me just... Where is it exactly? There? So it used to be there. On the other side of the water. But it has been demolished. It was demolished in the 1950s to make room for a new development. And it looked like that. So not quite the same as... We can't get a better view of it. Not quite the same as what we see in the game. But it's interesting that the map designers put a Flamingo Hotel in here. I don't know if it's based on a real thing or based on a different building. The style looks different. This is very Art Deco. This is extremely Art Deco. Like if you type Art Deco into
I hope everything is alright.
into Google, it might just show you this. This is textbook Art Deco. Very cool, very stylish. Also completely different from everything else, right? Like the racetrack buildings are very modern. And then the Kronstadt stuff is very modern and very high-tech. And then there's this thing from... Or is it the 30s and the 40s? Very cool. Completely out of place, but very cool. Let's look around. We have a flat roof. So Art Deco. So this was a time when like cars were relatively new, and so like long lines were the novel thing. So you know, before there were private cars, I mean, it wasn't when private cars were new, but they became like faster, and they became affordable and widespread, and like long lines. Like they don't like. If you think back a few hundred years, long lines didn't really happen. Long lines only happen when what? Train tracks have long lines, and like highways have long lines. And so like the idea of speed and movement and this sort of stuff only came, you know, with industrialization and with the availability of private transport, as in like automobiles. So when you start building highways, then you have these long lines, and we have like planes, runways are long lines. So these long horizontal lines, they didn't used to be a thing. Like the idea of like lines that go all the way to the horizon, like only like train tracks. Before train tracks, you didn't have that. Once you start building train tracks like across the continent, like the Transcontinental Railroad, then you have these long straight lines to the horizon. So this idea like got into people's heads, and then oh, that's really cool. Long straight lines like highways stretching to the horizon. And so then that became like a style, right? That became like an architectural style of just long straight lines. And this is, you know, associated with, as I said, associated with trains, highways, cars, and like speed and smooth movement over long distances, as opposed to like riding a horse or even a horse-drawn carriage. It's not smooth. But cars on modern highways are smooth, right? So this fascination with long lines that disappear into the horizon is one of the things that inspired Art Deco. Let's come back down here, come back down this way. And the pink too. Oh, modern paints. So modern synthetic pigments, which allow unusual colors like hot pink. So this again, like this is like the, if you understand the technology and understand like the history of the development of architectural technology and like culture and all that, then you understand like where these ideas come from. Flamingo pink as a color, like, you know, like before modern pigments, you couldn't have this color as a paint. But now you can have any color as a paint because with modern chemistry, we can make any color pigments. So things like that, like they kind of tell you something about the time when the architecture is built. So like a motel, a motor hotel, right? A hotel that serves people driving cars most of all. Like that's a new idea around about this time. And like diners, I guess diners are more post-war. Maybe I shouldn't. It's a bit of a tangent. Diners are more post-war, I guess. But like industrial processes, industrial steel, where you roll the steel, like when you roll steel, you create long lines again. So like there were long pipes and long sheets and like long I-beams, like just long straight lines. Again, this idea, and it comes from like in the industrial production of large amounts of steel components, because you roll the steel and you just continuously roll them, and you just get this continuous long lines. So again, like you know, like that idea. Before you had like rolled steel, you didn't have the idea of building components just long and straight. Because if you're like making steel by hand, like you have blacksmith hammering steel, you're not gonna get long straight lines like this. So yeah. So like where these kind of ideas come from, right? And of course the rolled steel, that's where the train tracks, how do you make the train tracks is rolling the steel. Alright, let's not get too distracted by all this stuff. It's interesting if you're like really into history and So that's the entire map, right? Do we need to review what happened? It's a little bit complicated because there's a lot of stuff going on. We started here, we walked around the park, and then we came back. And then we went into the expo area. We walked around to the aquarium, to the expo room, and then upstairs. And then around this way, conference room, Android showroom, Android lab, and then upstairs. Around roof garden, assistant's office, Robert's office, right? And then we came back down to the podium building. And then we went down into the basement. And went through here, toilet, car park, and then back up here. Up to here, into this tunnel, down here, through this tunnel, across the road, into the race area. And then the event entrance, we went up, watched this, looked at the stands, came back around. And then we looked at the Kronstadt paddock, the Kowloon paddock, the Swag paddock, looked at the temporary buildings. So this is permanent, this is permanent, and then everything in here is temporary, this is permanent. So this is all temporary. Came back down, and then we looked at this building, we went through, looked at the outside, looked at the inside, the Kronstadt garage. Went upstairs, looked at this building, the upstairs area. And then came down here, the emergency bay, this is the medical area. And then looked at the hotel, the Flamingo Hotel, went upstairs, went downstairs, and that's it. And now we're back here. Okay, so that's what we did. We just kind of went up and down, up and down, up and down. Let's get back to the stands, and then we'll finish up. Run, 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 run.
But I still can't
Let's go over to that end of the stands. Oh, there you go, look at that view. So, what do we have to say? That's the whole level, that's the Miami level of Hitman. So the game level, it clearly takes a lot of inspirations from the real Miami and the real world. It's not quite the same thing, like they packed a lot of things into a much smaller space to fit it into the game level. But as you look around, I mean, if you're familiar with Miami, if you're familiar with, you know, downtown Miami, you'll probably see a lot of things that you recognize, like little bits and pieces that you recognize. On that side we have the waterfront, and then we have the Kronstadt building. Kronstadt building a little strange, you're not really sure if it's a generic exhibition hall with an aquarium, which would kind of make sense, or is it like a permanent Kronstadt exhibition with an aquarium, which doesn't really make sense. So it's a little strange, but okay, there's a Kronstadt building over there. The Kronstadt company is high-tech engineering, and so their like decorations inside the building, everything is neon lights and shiny surfaces, so that's kind of cool. Hey, why am I sliding backwards? Right, so that's a lot of fun. And then over on this side we have the Raceway. The Raceway is a lot simpler actually. The buildings is kind of like more or less plain concrete and very functional. Very functional, but there's not much not that much is interesting about it, right? So the stands are completely functional. There's seating, there's stairs, and then on the other side there's the garages. They're completely functional, and then upstairs you have like an office, executive lounge, driver's lounge. It's just kind of rooms, kitchen. Everything's just kind of rooms. It's not very interesting, but all the pieces are there, right? And I guess you don't need them to be interesting, because everybody who comes to this space, they're gonna be focusing on the race anyway. They're not here to look at architecture. So I guess nobody needs to be impressed by the building, because they're here for something else. in the other side, in the exhibition area, they are there to be impressed by constant technology, so that needs to look cool, right? So everything makes sense. Like, I mean, I don't have too many complaints about it. Alright, so that's it. Let's go ahead and finish the level by eliminating Robert Knox. Now, where is Robert Knox? Oh, there he is.
Both targets down. Well done, Fraser.
He landed on the racetrack, huh? Oh. That's unpleasant. Let's get out of here before anything worse happens to him. Next time, in the next video, we are going to the jungles of Colombia. There's a fictional village deep in the jungles of Colombia. Somebody ran over Robert again and crashed their car because of it. Let's just pretend that didn't happen, and I will see you next time in Colombia.